Today our topic of discussion is about the normal development of a child. In the previous lectures, we have seen about the growth and its growth charts. Okay, so in that series, we are now going to see about the development. As I already said, growth and development are two separate entities of a growing child. So coming to the development, it is by definition, it is the maturation of functions and acquisition of various skills for optimal functioning of an individual. Again, as growth, development also has certain rules. Okay, it is a continuous process and it depends on the functional maturation of the nervous system. And if you see, the sequence of attainment of milestones is same in all the children. Like first the head control will be the first thing to occur, then only followed by the trunk, that is neck control. So it follows a certain sequence. It is same in all the children. Maybe the time, that is the duration, average time may differ. Like one child gets a complete head control by 3rd month itself, but another child it takes 4.5 months to attain the head control. So the time may vary, but the sequence remains the same. So that is a rule of development. And then, as I already said, the process of development progress in the cephalocaudal direction. That is only the head control followed by neck control, trunk, and then only limbs will come. Okay, so it follows a cephalocaudal direction. And if you see, the primitive reflexes or certain reflexes, these are all normal reflexes present at the time of birth, but it has to be replaced by maturational reflexes by the developing cortex. So one new milestone to achieve, these primitive reflexes have to be lost. Then only new milestone will be achieved. And next, disorganized mass activity will be replaced by the more specific actions. So these are all the general rules in the development of a normal child. So what are all the factors that affect the normal development? So again, the prenatal insult in the form of genetic disorders which may present in the family, maybe the parents may be the carriers or even the affected parents. Because of that, the child may have problems. And maternal risk factors like maternal malnutrition, like anemia in mother, or any exposure to the drugs, or any maternal illness during the time of pregnancy, like for example rubella, CMV virus, toxoplasmosis, and all those things will have definitely an impact on the child's developing brain. So these are all the prenatal risk factors. And in neonatal risk factors, if you see, the child may be IUGR baby, that is intrauterine growth restricted, would have occurred because of several reasons, and prematurity is one of the major risk factor. And almost 40% of the child with a perinatal asphyxia have definitely impact on the developing brain. And the post-neonatal, again, nutrition, infectious diseases, environmental toxins, and any acquired traumatic insults to the brain, all those things play a major role in the post-neonatal period. Okay, and last but not the least, psychosocial factors play a very major role in the impact of the developing brain of the child. So, as a development, it is a complex process. So, what we'll do, we'll understand that complex process by assessing the development in important domains, by splitting up in domains.